So, welcome to another episode of The Product Life. This is your host, Apoorv Sibal from BestViewsReviews, where we provide you with unbiased reviews for thousands of products. Today, we have with us Angela. She is a full-time psychotherapist in private practice. She specializes in OCD eating disorders and eating disorders and anxiety-related concerns. So, hi, Angela. Can you tell us and our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you again for having me today and for this opportunity to speak with you. I am a psychotherapist and I specialize in stress and anxiety concerns like obsessive compulsive disorder, eating disorders. And I worked at Harvard University as a primary therapist there for many years before being in full-time private practice. And now I've kind of created an online brand where people can access all the skills and strategies that I teach in my private practice with my goal of trying to reach as many people as I possibly can that learning to manage your stress is doable and attainable.
Wow, that sounds very impressive. So, how did you actually come up with the idea of creating a brand?
In my private practice, when I got started, I was hearing from a lot of people that I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, in the US, and it's not a big city. You can pretty much walk all the good parts of the city in a day. And people were having a hard time finding me, but when they did find me, what I was teaching them was helpful. They were saying that their stress and anxiety was markedly improving. And they had strategies finally to kind of work with and use outside of our sessions rather than just the standard talk therapy of tell me more about that. How does that make you feel? That they were coming away with strategies. And I thought if they're finding it helpful, which is great, but I'm a hard find in a small city, I wonder who else is out there that could benefit from what I teach. And what I teach is research based. I don't conjure up strategies that I'm like, I think this will work. I'm trained and certified in behavioral therapies that are proven to help people specifically with stress and anxiety. And that's what I teach. And so I thought, why don't I just start writing articles and blog posts on stress management and ranging from anything from intuitive eating to mindfulness work to when I was a new mom, kind of how to manage stress as a new parent. Um, and then through that, started developing products, online products, where people could access through Kindle or like a workbook how to kind of access the skills I teach and practice without having to see me in session. I know it's not the same as seeing somebody in session, but if you're on the go and don't have time to be in therapy or as an add on to therapy, that these workbooks and skill packets I've created can be helpful. So that's kind of how I went from just being a therapist with my shingle and people, coming into my office to creating an online brand, knowing that I think people can really benefit from this. People are telling me that they're getting better and they wanted more. So that's how I kind of shifted gears from just a private practice clinician to kind of doing some online work.
Got it. That makes sense. So, for our listeners, so like you have four kits and guides on Amazon, ranging from everyday coping kit to the stress busting guide. So, could you tell us how they're different from the talk therapy?
Sure. So with talk therapy, when people tend to think about traditional talk therapy, you go into an office and you talk and your therapist listens. And they're listening and they might say something back every once in a while. And it's really just a space to learn how to process your feelings and kind of get some feedback on the work that you want to do. The difference with the work that I do some of that, but I focus a lot on skills and strategies. So if you're feeling anxious, for example, or if you're feeling really stressed, I want to make sure that I get you some tools to cope as soon as possible so that you can feel better. And that once you start to feel better, Then we can start talking on, well, what do you think is stressing you out in the first place? How do you think you got here? What do you think you can do differently? It's harder to think through those questions when you're so stressed, your body, your heart rate is up, you're not sleeping well, your brain is going a mile a minute. It's just harder to kind of process what's going on if you don't have the tools to calm down your body. And if you can calm down your body, you can start to think more clearly. Your brain starts to slow down. So it's important to give people strategies first, kind of the armor. You want to have some armor to kind of manage those stressors so that you can start to think more clearly. So I really focus on how to give people the tools they need to take care of themselves.
Got it. So, like, how big are these guides, and like, are these exercises that people have to do, or is it more like a book?
Yeah, there's a range. So on Amazon, I think all the products are about, $9.99, right? Trying to make them really affordable and accessible for many people. And they range in terms of length. So the everyday coping kit, I think it might be the shortest at like 13 or 14 pages. And then the Stress Buster Guide is a bit more robust. That has, I think, 75 coping skills in there, among some other kind of worksheets in there. So the idea is to give people a range of like what they feel they're able to kind of focus on and what they want to target. And the everyday coping kit, for example, has like a mindfulness exercise where you can do one item on the list, or you can do all the items on the list. But it's just a way of teaching people how to stay in the present moment and ground yourself in the present moment when you're feeling so stressed out, you can't regulate your body and your mind is going 1,000 miles a minute, or you just feel like you're not able to think about anything because you're so stressed out. So all the products that we have on Amazon range in terms of length and the tools they have. And they're just dependent on kind of where somebody is in their life and how much time they want to give and donate to learning how to manage their stress.
Got it. And what is the differentiator between all the 4 guides and kits? So if someone wants to deal with stress, like, how do they select which one is the most ideal for them?
Sure. So if someone is really looking kind of for a starter kit of, I'm feeling pretty stressed out, and I'm not really sure where to start, I think the everyday coping kit is a nice place to start because it just gives you an idea of like, is this for you? So you get a touch on different strategies. And I try to make each kit or each kind of workbook and kind of product fun, right? When we're stressed out, it's not a fun place to be. But when we learn strategies, I want to try to entice people that it doesn't have to be moving mountains or such heavy lifting to take care of yourself. And when you start to practice it, it can kind of be fun. You look forward to those skills. So I would say the everyday coping kit is probably the place to start, because it does give a shorter version of kind of getting your feet wet on how to manage your self-care, how to regulate your body if you're feeling stressed, and how to think things through more clearly. If you're looking for a more robust, I need more skills, give me everything you've got, then the Stress Buster Guide is probably for you because it has 75 coping skills. It has mindfulness activities. It has journal entries. So it has places for you to really think through where your stress is coming from and practicing more skills.
Got it. That makes sense. Wow. So thank you so much, Angela, for coming on our show. It was great having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.